My name is Trevor McSpadden.
Okay.
Thank you. Welcome to the Career Roadmap panel. And yeah, feel free to scoot down. We're going to try to keep this as intimate as possible. And we have three distinguished panelists. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And we will we'll facilitate some discussion, and hopefully we have some questions, comments. Feel free to chime in. And so, yeah.
Should we do it?
Yeah.
Thanks, Trevor.
Lay it on them. Yeah, lay it on them.
Hey, everybody. I am Lazerbeak. My real name's Aaron, but my rap name is Lazerbeak. And I am an artist, a producer, and I've also gotten more into the kind of behind-the-scenes industry side of the music business as I've gotten older. So artist manager, CEO of a record label, things like that. So just kind of many hats at all times.
Nice.
I'm Sophia Eris. Lazerbeak's actually my manager.
Yes.
I'm an artist and a DJ. I DJ for Lizzo. I'm a touring DJ, and I just recently got into production, actually.
Yeah.
And actually used to intern for this next woman you're about to meet that we just ran into each other for the first time like in 10 years.
Yeah, we haven't seen each other since the big day.
Yes.
So I'm Krista Vilinskis. I started in the industry a long time ago, like 28 years ago. Started at an independent record label, worked with like 6 or 7 artists, 3 recording studios, learned about the rise and the fall of major distribution, digital media, all of it. Left there, worked for game production for years. I was the merch coordinator for Ozfest for about 10 years. That was a lot of fun. I learned a lot on behind the scenes and stuff like that. Then I started Tinderbox Music in 2000, and I worked with this lovely lady and this lovely gentleman many times. One of his first bands, Plastic Constellations.
Yes, totally.
And then, of course, I worked with, let's see if I can name them all here. The Chalice, Girl Party, Sophia Eris, and a little bit of Lizzo bangers.
Mm-hmm.
And then started my own record label, Princess Records, for many years. Released about 17 to 25 bands. Learned about all the behind the scenes. And then I also started music licensing called Chased by Flying Monkeys. Learned a lot about that. Worked with a lot of major production from Bunna Murray to HBO to Grey's Anatomy, you name it. And then on top of it, I also am the publicist at Tinderbox and the original founder. It's been a lot of work. I've learned a lot of what to do and what not to do, and to do things cheaply when you learn it you own an independent record label.
Oh God, yeah. Squeeze the pennies together.
Yes. So there. That's
Nice
in a
job.
nutshell.
Yes.
Hopefully I don't have to repeat it.
So, all right, we have like major history here between the three of you.
This is,
I know.
And so, the idea is this career roadmap. Where are you headed to? How do you get there? And so I'll open up that discussion with you guys there. What, okay, you're a manager right now, today. What are you guys doing? Do you have short-term, long-term kind of goals? How do you set that out?
Yeah, totally. God, that's a good question.
That is
That's
good, right out the gate.
And unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever, you learn, like I didn't realize I was a manager until probably being a manager for 10 years. Like we didn't call it that at all. We always called it a band captain when I was coming up. Like, who's the band captain? Who's gonna like establish a presence at the club and meet the sound guy and settle out and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, there's usually someone who is pulled into that, whether by choice or forced into it. And I was kind of the one that was always raising my hand as a kid in bands, or as we got starting to try to figure out how to release CDs and things like that. So it wasn't until probably 10 years in with Doomtree, which is my crew and label, that I was like, oh, I think I'm already doing this. I've been doing this for a long time. And so just like, first off, just to put it out there is no like textbook for what to do as a manager. And every artist that you work with is gonna be a completely different situation. And it's really important, I think, to treat each artist completely uniquely, because you gotta really go off of what they're trying to do, what they're working with, things like that. So a lot of it is just like, when you're hit with a question or a challenge, you just say like, yes, I will try to figure that out. And that has been kind of like my path, I think. Like, I get some things right, I get a lot of stuff wrong, I learn from the wrong stuff, try to do it differently, try to meet a lot of people and just develop strong relationships so that as you move on in life, you have this kind of Rolodex that's always expanding of people that you're cool with, that you're friendly with, that you can lean on, they can lean on you, and it's kind of becomes this like rolling ecosystem.
Sure.
But like, for me and Sophia met, what, like 3 days ago? We went.
Oh yeah. He took me on my birthday.
We went out to we went to Smack Shack, and you know, it's a lot of just like, you know, half of it I think is purely administrative. Like somebody needs to be answering the emails and being like, okay, what's going on, and keeping track of the calendar and the non-sexy stuff that, like, you know, when I was an artist wanting a manager, I was like, oh no, the manager is gonna like get me on TV and make me $1 million. Like you know, I didn't even think about the booking of a show or the emails or like just the dumb stuff that comes along with any job.
Everyday stuff.
And a lot of times that is like most of the job. And then you get the cool stuff. Like Sophia's gonna fly to Cannes. I think it's Cannes.
We still can't figure out what it is.
How do you say it?
C-A-N-N.
Yeah.
Where is it?
You know where it is, but you're gonna fly.
It's the south of France. Like she's, you know, like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like she's gonna go there for a week and DJ a bunch of shows over there with a client and things like that. So then it's like really exciting. Like, oh yeah, let's book those flights and what, you know what I mean? But
And hasn't she DJ'd at Paisley Park?
oh yeah,
a few times.
absolutely. She's
don't wanna
recorded.
do that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So then it's like, even though that's still administrative, you're like, well, this is cool. Like, although there's bumps in the roads at all times. Like that Cannes trip, she's like, oh shit, I lost my passport. And we're like, oh no.
It was a while. It was at a Timberwolves game, and it was like when I was. It was a lot.
And then, you know, pre-COVID, you used to be able to go down to the regional office downtown, and you could expedite a passport really quickly. And now, since COVID, that takes. They're not even accepting appointments for another month, and it takes a really long time. So through both of us figuring this stuff out, like reaching out, you know, we hit up Lizzo's tour manager,
Maybe
we
calling
blah,
friends,
blah, blah, calling friends.
And I happen to be, there's like 3 places in the whole nation right now that you can get an expedited passport, and it's Colorado, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico. And I happen to be in Colorado this weekend, and so I'm getting it. By the grace of God.
She's gonna be
Or
at a
DJing my best friend's wedding.
Yeah,
so,
DJing a friend's
so
wedding.
I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be in Colorado this weekend. They're like, okay, the 14th is available. I'm like, I'll stretch my flight.
So she gets anyway. So this is just like,
it's all like what,
this is like a glimpse into a week.
All right, so I'm gonna getting back to our idea of a roadmap, right? So I'm gonna ask you, Sophia, like, at what point in your life did you say, I am going to be a DJ in Cannes, France someday?
honestly,
And I know you probably never did say that, but how, like, what's that, you know, how are you prepared to go do that?
When I met you started in that first, right? Were
no,
you kind of doing that?
I was at school, went to IPR. I moved here when I was 19 because I wanted to be an A&R. Like, I knew exactly what I wanted to be, but I was an athlete growing up, and I had offers to have scholarships for soccer. My parents were like, just go where that is. They didn't believe. They were like, what's entertainment business? What is that even? Just go to school for business and, like, do what you've been doing this whole time. But I played my first year, and they just knew I wasn't happy. And they knew, and I was like, I want to go to IPR. I know exactly where it is. I know exactly what it is. And then they finally let me go. Long story short, graduated, did my first internship with her. I really wanted to be involved in getting an artist from point A to point Z. I loved artistic development. I watched Brown Sugar and Purple Rain in the same week when I was in high school, and I was like, I'm gonna be Tay Diggs, and that's what I saw in my head. And so I was doing a lot of like business internships with her. I did artist promotion, radio promotion. And within that, though, I loved making music on my own, like very low key. I didn't really talk about it, and I always loved making mixes in high school. And so I was always like kind of into the realm of DJing, I guess, and into creation. And I met Lizzo in 2011, and her and I's friendship just boosted each other, and we just like made groups together. And then it led to her going solo, and that's when I met him, because he did Lizzo Bangers. And I was the only feature on the album because we had groups together before that. And when she got offered her first tour, she's like, you have to come with me, just be my DJ. And I was like, okay. And I just learned how to DJ. And so it was.
So you were just like forced to
in.
DJ, exactly.
And artistically, like when we did our groups, I was always the most immature in the group because I just started, actually got into an official studio when we recorded the Chalice for the first time. I was always doing it in my friend's closet. So it was a lot of saying yes, a lot of being uncomfortable in front of big crowds. and acting like you were comfortable and acting like you're supposed to be in the room when I honestly wasn't supposed to be in the room when it came to experience. And so when I say like fake it till you make it, I don't mean fake your passion. I mean like act like you're supposed to be there, even when inside you may not feel like you're supposed to be there at all. Yeah. But yes, and now I'm DJing in Canes by myself. It's the first time, it's my first time going overseas alone. And I never would imagine doing that, but this DJing thing led me I just said yes. I've made a lot of mistakes in front of a lot of people, but now I feel really confident, and it's to the point where every gig that we do leads me to being booked for more.
That's awesome.
And it's fun. And so that's all I got.
Yeah.
That's the key. Keep it fun.
Yeah. That is the key, actually. The moment that you stop having fun as a creative or anything, then the moment no one else is going to have fun around you, you know? And when it comes to music and being involved in this creative space, it's all about magic and fun. And so if it's not fun anymore, I wouldn't recommend
it. It is funny though, because I met Sophia at the same time I met Lizzo, right around that 2011, which when I met them, I thought they'd been best friends since they were born.
Me
They
too.
had met like 6 months before maybe.
Yeah.
And me and Lizzo started making that record, I'm producing it. And, it was all these little whispers of like, well, Sophia is actually really good if you can get her to like actually open her mouth and rap for you at any point. Like, she was always just kind of like, not that you're even shy, but you weren't like, I'm a rapper, like, let me spit some bars for you, which a lot of rappers are like that. That's fairly common.
She definitely was.
She was.
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden towards the end, it was like, let's get Sophia on the track. And yeah, you absolutely crushed it. It was like, okay, like there's obviously more here than just this like shy girl who's like scheming on the industry side of things. So it's been really cool to watch you like try out all these different artistic things and find your like kind of voice in all that.
That was the best advice I got in school, was like say yes.
Yeah.
Because I went to IPR in the midst of like the internet taking everything down. Like they're like, it was Enter the Dragon with Scooter. You know Scooter Nelson, I think. He was like, all right, we're going down. He's like, the business is going down. He said, but the industry is booming. And he's like, say yes to everything. He's like, don't limit yourself because you never know. Because all these different roles within business are now like getting blended together. And like everything is, you just have to stay open, because if you don't try something, you never know what you can be great at.
Well, and I would like to add that these girls were scrappers too, meaning like they just figured it out, and she was shy. She just slipped her solo demo on my desk, and I remember coming into her little area and saying, is this your demo? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. And one of the local stores picked it up and was playing it in their place of sale.
The Chalice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, you'll probably like my other band. And she brought me the Chalice, and I'm like, oh my God, these girls are so good. You reminded me of Beyonce's first band. And then they would giggle.
Yes.
And I'm like, we got to do something.
Yes.
And then they were just scrappers. What I was saying to JC in the crowd here, I loved that you went and talked to some of your friends that had some store. I was just saying, and she got her to donate a bunch of clothes. They went into the studio, they made a video for super cheap, and then you got the video done like really quick.
Yeah.
I think it was regular. And
Yes. That's good for you.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I was blown away by that
Rundown.
video, and it cost you like little to nothing.
Oh, yeah.
We
Got all
didn't
that
pay
free
for
clothes.
it.
Yeah.
It was
can-
that was
Oh my
Adam
God,
done.
Yeah.
that was so good.
You can, and just to put it out there, like you can do most things for free to little money if you really have to. You just got to get creative. And,
Especially with iPhones.
Yes,
Oh my God.
I just said that this
I
morning with
know.
iPhones.
So like, I come from a time when it was like if you were gonna do a music video, you needed to have like 5 to 10K on the low end just to get it created.
I saw that.
And like we got to a point where it was like we're just not seeing the return on investment here. Like the video looks sick, but people start turning those things off after 20 seconds, and no one watches it. So it's like you got to get creative. And you can, with the right vision or just trying things out, you can do stuff for free. So don't ever let money prevent you. Because I did coming up at first. It was like, well, especially in like the mid 90s in bands where it was like, there was really there wasn't really internet. It sounds so weird to say that now. But like, this is like before MySpace. The only way that I knew how to get someone to actually hear my music was to either play in front of them at like a birthday party or a school dance or whatever, or hope that like you could send in a demo tape to a local zine or like a weekly paper, and maybe they would give like a paragraph blurb on it. And so To come from that now to like this like over consumption where we're like, oh, I don't even want to watch your video because I see too many videos. It's so wild. My first band, we never even made a video. We were a band for 12 years because it was just like unheard of to have $5,000 to do it.
Make a video.
So anyways, I'll go on some tangents, but yeah, it's like
TikTok, man. It took over. Like everyone you just do it on TikTok, and then the whole concept of even leaving a video isn't as necessary because you do that 30-minute clip on TikTok.
Yeah.
And people can make up a dance to whatever. It's honestly taken over the content realm of even making a video. But it's still amazing. Like, it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's going to get here, but I think about music videos going into like a realm of like having a CD versus having a digital stream or something. It's like going this way, and TikTok is now like it's interesting to see. The newest video I just put out took me literally 3 shots one night, and my friend had tapped out his camera, and I happened to look cute that day. I was like, let's shoot the video.
It looks great. She said it, she was like, should we put this out? I was like, yeah, let's put it out now.
Yeah, why not?
It was just simple. But I respect good art, period. And a lot of people still do respect good art, just like they respect a good vinyl, and they'll still buy a good vinyl.
Me too.
It's whatever you want to be. But the reality of investment and money, that's where it comes into like, all right, do I want to spend $5,000 right now to invest in an amazing thing, which may pay off? Or do I just wait a second until I have like $50,000? Then I can spend $5,000 on like whatever major thing I want to do.
And if you've got a lot of money, then it's all good. Spend your money. Like if you're like independently wealthy,
don't have
do
anything.
it.
No, it's very rare that those two cross ever.
Yeah,
for sure. I like how this is unfolding, but I want to get back to something you said.
Do it. Bring us back.
Well, just
like
to somewhat
these guys.
keep our metaphor of the roadmap.
Yes.
When you were talking about Sophia putting her demo on your desk, and you listened to it, and you said, we got to do something.
Yes.
What does that mean? In terms of like, look, here's this talented person who has some cool material. I want to help this person out.
That's a fair word, and I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but they were just like, had their stuff stored in our garage and tinderbox, and our roof was leaking on them, and I'm like, you guys can put your stuff in the house. But I just knew that they didn't have a lot, but I saw such talent there. I just was like, someone's got to nurture these girls and help them get to the next level. So I said, bring your gang down in my office, and we had a giggle session and wrote things out, and everyone talked about what they wanted to accomplish. And I said, all right, well, let's start getting some promo kits together, and let's get some one sheets, and let's get things going on. And we kind of went 1, 2, 3 break and divide and conquer, and we got all that stuff ready. And then I just solicited all the media, and once we solicited the media, these girls kind of did it themselves. I mean, they were just like, oh God, what did you get that year? The cover of City Pages.
Yeah, there's City Pages.
I was like, I knew they were going to get it because I got the email from the editor, and I'm like, oh my God.
The
And I
pick
couldn't
to
tell them,
click.
but I could set up an interview, pick to click. That was a big deal.
So, maybe let's dive in on that. Was that a goal? Did you sit down at that point and say, I want to be on the cover of City Pages?
You know what's
I'm
funny?
gonna let her answer.
And Liz will tell you this. I was like, we're gonna be on the cover of something. We're gonna be like this. I like literally said that in the cover of City Pages. That is like Lizzo has her hand up like this. I'm sitting in the middle and Claire's on the left, but that's what it looked like, and I literally said that out loud.
You brought it, you manifested.
I didn't know it was gonna be pick to click. I just like knew. I was like, we're gonna do this. I'm like a huge like manifester. I just say things out loud at the
We actually have that framed at her desk.
Amazing.
She wrote, "This is my desk."
I mean, manifesting, I know that gets whatever, people can think whatever about that. I grew up very Midwestern where it was like, you don't say stuff that might not happen because then it was jinxing it. Like we always thought you're gonna jinx it if you do that. And I learned from Sophia and Lizzo, like one of the first shows we did, the 3 of us together, Lizzo was like, I wanna play Madison Square Garden. And there's 2 freaking dates on the upcoming tour. Like, and I was like, whoa, that seems like, I don't think we say that out loud to anybody, and that was like that really like cracked me in a good way and made me realize like, no, you have to start believing in this stuff or saying it out loud to really kind of prime yourself.
I love that you're saying that. Absolutely, because I told Jeremy Messersmith the same thing, write it out. And I told these girls, write it out, write what you want to do to make it happen. Manifest it, bring it to fruition. Because that's such a big part of it.
Oh my God,
Isn't it?
Absolutely.
Half the time I don't think bands and artists know what they want until you ask them. And then you really think about it and go, wait a minute, I'd love to play the Main Room of First Ave. I'd love to play Red Rocks. Or I'd love to play Madison Square
Right.
Garden.
Yes.
You
And
know,
then,
why
you know,
not dream?
Your job as either a friend or a manager or whatever is to like hear that and say, okay, well
Yes.
that, whether it's Madison Square Garden or the entry, how do we get there?
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and that's how you then slowly slice it up to say, well, okay, the
Knock
entry, we
them
gotta
down.
like go maybe introduce ourselves to the people that book the entry. You know, when I was first getting started, it was a lot of just being at the venues where I wanted to play and not going immediately in for the hard sell of like, please book my band.
Right.
It was like, you just kind of,
It's a fine
you
line.
lay in the cut and you just kind of like are around,
Yep.
and then you start to see the similar people at shows. You kind of get in the mix a little, and I was a very shy kid growing up, so that took a lot for me to do that. I've gotten over that as I've gotten older, but like, so it helped me to just kind of ease into it, to start by just going up to a band after their set and high-fiving them and saying like, really good job, with no ask, with no like, hey, can I give you this or anything?
Yeah.
Just to
Yep,
get
that's
comfortable
so key what you
in
just
that
said.
world, and then slowly you start to make like authentic relationships without just wanting things from people, and that
Yeah.
actually ends up providing things for you that you're not expecting. So I don't know how to like write that out in a
Remember
plan.
to give
Yeah.
back is what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Okay.
Don't just take, because there's
Yeah.
a lot of that in this industry,
Yes.
and I bet you two can speak to that.
Oh God.
The best like analogy I read that could go with like the manifestation aspect without saying manifestation. It's like when you're on a road trip, right? You have a destination, and you know what exits to take and what turns to go to because you have that end destination. If you have like a manifestation or a vision, then you know what directions to take if you meet certain people. Ooh, I can like, I need that number because I have this end goal. Like that's why it's important to know where you're going, because if you don't, then you can just get lost way more easier. But if you have like goals and these visions, like say them out loud, write them
Yep.
down, because you'll know how to direct yourself there way more easier.
And it could be small things like playing a room, getting a music video, playing with another band you've always admired, getting on tour, getting t-shirts and merch. It could be really simple things. You just have to knock it out and realize, what am I not doing that I should be
Yeah.
doing?
Right.
And then doors open.
And I consult now with a lot of OG. I'm turning 40. Thank you.
Coffee or anything?
Yeah, I do. I really do. But so I consult a lot now with young artists that are just getting started. They may have just gotten enough money to like record professionally their first project. And then, you know, I always say like, what happens is maybe you get your little money up and you finally get to record something. So you go to the studio and you know, you track everything and you tell the engineer, what do I do now? And the engineer says, oh, bring this over to a mixing engineer and mix it. Okay, cool. You mix it. What do I do now? Oh, you didn't bring it to the mastering person, and then you're gonna master it. Awesome. You get your masters, the music's done, you're so proud, and you say, what do I do now? And everyone throws their hands up and says, no fucking idea. And so like we need, in that same ecosystem, people to tag in and like help facilitate how to get from that final audio to the release of that audio, because otherwise you're like, I've been there a million times, I'm sure you have, where you're like, I love this music, but I don't know what to do with it, and so
Yeah.
I either panic and just throw it onto SoundCloud, and that does me no good, because there's too many songs in the world already.
And you've learned from that, right?
Yes. Or I sit on it too long, and I start to hate it, and then I never put it
Oh,
out.
boy. That's part of being a
You
musician
know?
too, yeah.
So it's like, how do you, exactly what Sophia was saying with that kind of road trip idea. It's like, okay, well, I know I want to put it out, so I work with artists to say like, well, okay, the music's done, but we need a press shot. Like, it still helps to have a photo. Again, that photo could be
Yeah.
taken.
Current one.
It could be
Especially
taken
if
on
you
a
hate your old
phone.
one.
Oh my
It
God.
literally almost looks better sometimes on a phone. It could be a selfie. It does not have to. You don't have to spend $1,000 in a studio.
Yes.
Not anymore.
True.
But like having a current press shot, even better if you've got multiple ones.
Yes.
Having, okay, Krista will
EPK.
appreciate this. The bio in the old days. A bio in the old days was like 3 fucking pages long.
Yes, it was way too long.
I guarantee
Way.
you, like 0.5% of people actually got through the first page when you
That's
send
so
this
true.
thing out. Now, a bio should be 2 to 3 paragraphs, and it should tie in who you are as an artist with whatever the most recent thing you're releasing or doing.
Yep.
And then that's it. It's your song bio, it's your artist bio, it's your album bio, it's your live show bio. It's all there. It's right, you know, it's tiny. It's just enough. And then social media is key. So, you know, people read that. You kind of get a hook in them.
Yep.
They go check out your Instagram, and that's another hook.
Yep.
You drop a song, you put out a picture, like you're
That's
just kind of like,
cool. Yep.
you're just kind of corralling people in slowly. But I do think those are really getting your asset. I used to be like, I'm never going to be the guy that says assets. But get your assets together. Like
Never assume you're gonna say it.
Yeah, exactly. But like audio, visual, bio, picture. I mean, that all then creates your one sheet. That could be your entire website. Could just be that. If you have that, you are off to like an incredible start. And now you kind of have a digital calling card. Like once you get, I always tell people like that first thing you release, don't expect it to be your masterpiece. Don't expect it to, make you blow up. But as soon as you get your music on the streaming services, which you can do extremely easy through DistroKid.
Independently now.
Yep.
Yes.
And you can get it up in like 2 days. It'll be everywhere. It costs almost nothing. It's amazing. As soon as you do that for the first time, now that's your calling card. Now you can say, oh yeah, anyone you meet, like you can check me out. Just look my name up on whatever the hell streaming service you look at, and they can find you immediately. Like that is such a huge win.
And just to add to what you're saying, like the longer bios, sometimes I say have a shorter bio and maybe a little bit more beefier bio if you've been around a long time, like a decade, and there's more to be known. The other thing I would say to that or add to is just if you have a concept piece. I talk to the media all the time. Chris Schneider's like, is this, like Jeremy Messersmith had an album about life and death. And so it was a concept album. So I said, just write a little excerpt because so many people think they know what the song is about. I remember talking to Dan Wilson, and I don't think that he would mind me saying it. I had preemies, twins. He has twins, boys, we both do. And Dan's song, Closing Time, was actually about his daughter that was a preemie. And it was about bringing her, I can try not to cry here.
I know.
Bringing her home for the first time. But everybody thought that song was about picking somebody up at a bar. And he actually talked about this on the Howard Stern's show.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did.
I bet Howard Stern was like,
he put it out there.
this is dumb.
But that whole having a concept, if you want to say what the album is about, that's a good thing because I get asked that a lot from critics all the time. The other thing I would add is digital social media, EPKs. They're priceless for booking, for management, for anything, festivals, you name it. That's like the first thing that people are going to ask you for, especially think about it as a artist. If you love somebody, you're going to go to their website and you're going to check them out there. That's just what you're going to do. And you're going to see, somebody's a Twitter person, someone's a TikTok person, someone's Instagram. Like I can tell you for facts, like Radio K, they're Instagram. They do Instagram sessions. But then oh gosh, there's a million different publications that do Twitter, but Twitter is what refrigerator buzz a lot of the time, right? So it's much harder to stand out. TikTok is it right now, and it is evolved, and it's instant, and it feels personal, and people want to feel connected to their artists. Like when they check you out and at Cannes, they're going to go check you out on social media first thing.
Yeah, totally.
Cannes,
yes. I know. I love that that's the through line for all of this. Well, 100%. 100%. And yeah, exactly right. Like you want to cover all your bases because there are different people that are still on Facebook and they're not just your aunts.
That's so true.
They're not just your aunts.
That's true. I get that all the time.
Actually, it still is like the number one ranked social form of media is Facebook, actually.
Yeah, totally. Exactly right.
I would agree with you, and there's so much to be said about that. Like, I work with Kiss the Tiger, and I love them so much.
So
They're also so innovative. I met with them early on, and I told them, you guys need a really good manager. This is next step. And they did that. They interviewed with like the Hold Steady manager and like a couple other people that I knew really quickly, and they really got a lot of information, and they got on another tour, and they started opening for bigger bands, and that's like next step level for that particular band. They were ready for it. But what I was going to say about Kiss the Tiger is when they played the big state fair, that's it. There were all these like moms there, and they were like on their phones trying to find them on Facebook. And it's not just that, but there were other kids there. Here's another side of the coin. When I did a lot of music licensing, I'd get stuff on Bunna Murray, which is like the MTV shows, and I'd get stuff on Grey's Anatomy. What was interesting and fascinating about it for me that I learned from is instantly the kids would go to the Bunna Murray and they would go to social media and iTunes and buy the individual song. Grey's Anatomy, we saw an increase on all our artists in CD Baby and things like that.
Yep.
So that right there, you guys, is why it's so important to have all social media. I don't care if you hate Twitter or Facebook. I know they're not great, but it's a necessary evil. You know what I mean? I'm like, cover all your bases because you don't know where your fans are coming from.
And I think you can do the same. I know. Well, I personally think Twitter's a dumpster fire, so I stay off Twitter. But that's just me.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I hate it. I call it the necessary evil.
I actually stopped using it for 6 months and then it deleted me. So I lost all of my 10,000 followers on Twitter.
Oh my gosh!
So I had to grab it back because I didn't want anyone else to have Sophia Eris, and so I got it back and I just said like, I'm back just because I don't want anyone to take me.
Exactly, and that's true. And that
I like
will
the little
happen.
segments.
And I think it's okay to post the same thing. It used to be, I remember Dessa, who's an artist I work with all the time, you know, she was like, I'm gonna post every day, but I'm gonna post something different on Facebook, different on Twitter, because I don't want it to feel too samey. And I think that became a full-time job for her.
Oh, it did.
You know,
That's
and it's already a full-time
so
job
true.
just to try to post regularly.
That's
so
when you hire somebody.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's okay to post the same thing, and I know because Instagram and Facebook are together, you can even click a button where it's like it just goes to both of them. So like, that's fine. Don't feel like you have to do something unique for everything. I mean, again, this stuff is just a fucking death scroll, infinite scroll, whatever.
And I think it's important not to be too much too, right? You know, like Dessa once a day, that's good. But like, don't overdo it. Like keep a little gap there.
I try to tell people like this is gonna, again, it's very personalized, and if you're a type of person, it has to be within your comfort zone a little bit at least. So like, you might be a person that's like, I'm an open book. That's kind of how I am. Like, here, pull the curtain back. Like, here's me like talking shit about my kids to their face or whatever. But a lot of people are uncomfortable with that, and that's okay. Like, that makes actually a ton of sense. So when I managed the band Polisa, Chani, the lead singer, she was like, I just really don't, I'm very personal. I don't like putting all that out there. And so
Thomas Saban's the same way.
So like knowing that, it's like, okay, well then let's work with that. So now your thing is like, you're kind of mysterious. So like we're gonna still be regular posting, but that
really
regular is not every day for Polisa. Regular is maybe once every week. Just to stay consistent in whatever you start to ease into, because then people at least know like, all right, there is a regularity to this, instead of like I post 10 things on Monday and then I don't post till July. I think it's like, ease in. It is really overwhelming, and even to the people, I guarantee you, even to someone like Lizzo, it can be overwhelming to open up your phone and be like, what am I gonna post right now? You know, like,
we just had that conversation actually. She's like, because she's signed to Atlantic. And because of how she kind of was already kind of into social media when I met her, like really hardcore, like it was like when Twitter first started popping. She just really was naturally gifted at just dominating it. But now, because it's how she's built herself, now it has become something that it's like she has to like do it.
Keep up.
And she's become, she looks at like Harry Styles or like Adele that doesn't have to do anything. Really, they do that one post like Polisa, and they're number one. You know, and so it's like, it is, we talked about that because I do look at social media as a job now, and I have a lot more respect than I used to of it because of how much it can do for you. And so it is a thing. It's up to how you want to build your brand, but it can be something that can be quite exhausting if that is what people come to you for.
It's a full-time job.
It's always a full-time job.
It's terrible, but it is necessary. It is necessary, and
terrible,
also
but it's necessary evil. I always say that.
I do think, you know, a lot of times artists are like, well, how many times in a row can I talk about this one single that I put out? Like, because you know, you post the same thumbnail or picture or the same audio, people are just like, whatever, they scroll over. So we're always trying to work on like, well, what are some parts of you that maybe have nothing even to do with this song or this music?
I say that too.
Like, how can we find all these little hooks? So it's like, maybe once every couple weeks you're gonna get the cute cat picture because we all love that shit. Like once every
your puppy Ossie.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Or you know, like, for me it was like I really started to get comfortable being myself when I started talking about like I love movies. So like, and I love every movie that's ever made. So I would just review like the dumbest movies that no one else would have ever watched and just be like, I loved it.
My dad used to own video stores.
So I did like official Lazerbeak reviews, and then I would start to review like Mike's Hard Lemonade flavors because I really love sugary, fruity drinks. And like, you know, like then it's really weird because when you show people things like that, the interaction rate goes so
It
far up.
does. It's
And
huge.
oftentimes when you're posting about your art or your music,
Taking it too seriously.
there's no interaction. It doesn't mean people aren't excited or check for it, but they don't really comment often unless it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
I remember the first time, I tell this one all the time, 'cause so my first solo album ever, this is like 12 years ago or something.
Which one?
It was called Legend Recognized Legend. I was like singing.
love that
It was like
one.
my pop album, whatever. It was my first album after being in a band. And I spent years making it. It was my heart and soul, and like it was right before I had my first kid, so I was like really in this like raw place. And you know, I posted it, announced it, like thought it was going to be this huge thing, and I think I got like 3 likes and one guy being like, "Pretty cool, man."
Travis loved it.
Yes,
He might have been one of the 3.
it might have been Prophet. And then like 3 days later, I remember I have an aversion to mayonnaise. I love all food now, but I just don't like the taste of mayonnaise. And so I remember like I think Burger King had fucked up my Whopper order. Something had happened where like I was forced to eat mayonnaise and I was really upset. And I think I just literally typed into Twitter like out of nowhere, just like, "Man, I fucking hate mayonnaise." And I got 150 comments. Like people are like, "Me too, man. Fuck mayonnaise." And other people are like, "I love mayonnaise. How could you? Like, I'm
Oh
gonna
my
unfollow
God.
you." And it was just like, oh my God, like.
Yeah.
So finding ways to bring people into a conversation, as dumb as it sounds, those people
Humor
then,
goes a long
they
way.
stuck around and they probably checked out my record, even though I don't have the proof on the comments. So like, you can use all your little quirks to bring people back to your art, I guess. Is the
Yes.
kind of,
That's so
They want to see
true.
themselves in you.
yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And
It's relatable.
Yeah.
people that have a platform, it's hard because people turn people into statues real quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the moment that
Especially
you
here.
unstatuize yourself
Oh my
and like
God.
become one of them, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, we're going. Yeah,
No,
you bring us
Not a
back,
tangent, but
Trevor.
that was
Went down.
awesome.
Yeah.
You're repeating a lot of things I feel.
Questions? Any? Can we open this up for questions if there's anybody out there that has a question or comment or anything? Yes, sir.
No, but for me, one thing I thought was really cool about what you did is Tuesdays with Laser.
Oh yeah.
Because you brought yourself on the page as well as promoting Doomtree artists and what you guys are doing, but it was so cool having that personal approach, even something that might be considered archaic.
Yeah, I know.
I thought that was really cool.
I got to repeat this for the live stream. So Tuesdays with Lazerbeak.
Yeah, so Jeff, thank you,
That was
Jeff.
really cool.
This stems back to like, I don't know, again, probably 10 years ago, Doomtree got a new website built, we spent some money, and the whole idea, this was like when blogs were really happening. The whole idea was that instead of just like once a month us posting a little paragraph update on our website, it was gonna be, there were 7 members in Doomtree, so every member was gonna have a day, and there was always gonna be a new post, and it could just be these little posts. This is kind of like and this is kind of not what social media is, but, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll pick Tuesdays, and assuming that everyone else was gonna also pick a day. And then I did the Tuesdays with Lazerbeak every Tuesday, because once I set like a task, I have to do it. Like I just forced myself to do it. So it started out as me just being like, hey, I really like nachos. Here's my nacho recipe. Or like, oh, I really like wearing robes. Like, here's a picture of a robe I like. And then slowly, nobody in the crew did it at all. And then it slowly turned into me being like, well, I guess I also have to talk about whatever these assholes are doing. And so like, then it became this kind of hybrid of like, what's going on in my life as almost like a pen pal situation, but also a really easy way to say like, and I'm in the studio with Dessa. You're not even going to hear about this record for 6 months, but here we are, like laying some vocals down. And so it kind of became this interactive way of people seeing like what happened in our real lives. Also, we're feeding them, these are these shows. Go buy tickets here. This album we need you to pre-order. Like, but it was this kind of organic way of like not fully just getting over on people from a marketing standpoint to like really show ourselves in that.
But you also like put people on in that too.
And I put people on.
That was huge. Like I would say, as like personally, like just you were so tapped into like the local scene and all these up and coming artists that are in Minneapolis. They felt so special, including myself and whoever I was doing or who I was working with, seeing like their name, like, oh my God, he made the blonde.
Yeah.
It felt like because all of a sudden they're getting reposted. You know? It was like
I got
on Twitter.
to
There's camaraderie
highlight. I
there.
got to highlight the local scene, which was really. I didn't expect people to be following that, and then so it was really rewarding to be like, oh, I actually. So that's a thing where it's like, we often look to other people's platforms. Sometimes you can just start your own, and even if you think there's only 3 people watching, if you stay consistent, you can grow that. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, now I am the platform, and now I get to bring people up onto this thing. Like that, I think, is really something that it sounds daunting, so we often don't do it, but don't be afraid if you're like, oh, I get no press, no one writes shit about me. You could start writing stuff about other people, and all of a sudden you became the press.
That's true.
You can find ways to do it yourself.
Yeah. There are voids to be filled in this city right now.
Yeah.
There is no like
Absolutely.
Go 95.3 anymore. There is
Yeah.
no city pages anymore.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that people could be filling in right now at this moment if you wanted to.
Dispatch is trying
Yes.
and
Yeah.
Racket.
Yeah,
And they're taking it a little
totally.
differently where you got to pay to
Yeah.
belong,
It's
which
cool,
is
though.
interesting. And I'm following and I'm contributing. I want to see it
Yeah.
grow and I want to lift
Yeah.
each other up.
Totally.
And
I mean,
think
even
it's such
if-
an important thing.
One of your things, even if like you're trying to think of things to post on your social media, like if you're looking for a weekly post to happen every Friday so that you just stay on top of it, that could just be your New Music Friday post. So you could just talk about whatever new music you really like that day. And it could be, one post. If it's on Twitter, it could be like, you could review the 40 songs that pop up in your release radar
Yeah.
or whatever, like those are ways that you can still get out there, show people your personality and your taste without only big upping yourself. And even better if you can throw your friends on
I
or
was just
highlight.
going to say, I would love to see another band talk about another band.
Yeah.
Like, has anyone heard
that's
this
really
album
cool.
yet? Or this
Yeah.
single from
Really
this
good
local
idea.
artist?
Exactly, and that's
That
I
is
think
great.
that goes a long ways, and that's how you build your kind of digital network too. Because I've always found that like showing love has never led me astray. You
Ever.
show love,
Yep.
Never- yeah.
You get
and
more
it comes
buzz with
back.
honey.
It
I
comes
always
back
say
to
that.
you. It always does. So like, I even started just like reaching out to people online sometimes when they I didn't know them. I had no like, oh, I'm gonna become friends with these people, but just to like let people know, this is just like a life mantra, but like let people know that you fuck with them or that you care about them. So like, if like an indie artist puts out a record, in my mind, I think everybody that puts out music is like a superstar. I just think they're like more famous than me somehow. It's a really weird. I also think that everybody is older than me, even though I'm clearly like usually the oldest guy in the room now. But like I watch basketball and I'm like, these guys are so much older than me. I'm like, no, they're 18. But so I used to just forget that like. It would probably, no matter how big you are, it's probably really nice to get a compliment about that somebody listened to your stuff. So don't be afraid to just shower people with praise because they'll remember you, and they might also like.
Good point.
They might also check your music out too.
Yeah.
Or don't be afraid to send an artist that you respect your song or a link to your shit, but don't start with, hey, I need you to listen to this. Start with like a specific reason why you really like them. Like, hey, you don't know this, you'll probably never read this, but it actually meant a lot to me in 11th grade hearing this song. It got me through algebra or whatever.
Yeah.
And also, you inspired me to make music, and I'd love to share this song with you with no ask, with no like, will you please repost it?
Yes.
But just like a natural connection. It goes a long ways.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that as a bit of a segue and think about how this relates to the performance of music. We've talked a lot here about, the online realm, but in terms of like career trajectory,
Yeah.
you still got to perform. You got to get better at that craft too. I just wondered if you could speak to that maybe.
Yes.
Like how does that factor in?
Just
Big part.
Getting better at performer. How I think about performance.
Yeah, how that folds in with everything. Promoting yourself is one thing,
Oh,
but you
yeah.
still got to bring the goods.
Right.
It's true. I rarely do Sophia Eris sets. Like as a performer, I'm doing a lot of DJing. So it is rare when I get to do a Sophia Eris set. And I'm trying to think of like the last one I've done.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
I love doing it. I don't know. I like the last one I did. I think was like a Mortimer's or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I do it for homies. I do it here. Like, huh?
Hotel Minutes Donut.
Oh yeah. that was with a friend of mine, Mike the Martyr, and we had this like group called Purple Power Rangers. It was like he was someone I freestyled with all the time, and so we had all these songs of just him and I freestyling over like industry beats, and so we created that group to perform it in. And yes, and so like that was with someone else. I wasn't by myself though, and so I don't know. I think we just like a rehearsal, just be good, and I think. The way that you want to exude that message is going to be different depending on like the music that you're creating, but just respecting the craft is number one. Like respect that stage, respect the fact that there are people watching you, and just make sure that you come in the best way you can. Like, just do your best. But as you get more groomed and seasoned on that stage, you're gonna understand the type of story that you really are trying to execute, and that comes with like money sometimes.
Right.
Comes with funding.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, his name, he goes by Jim Kang. He's actually, it's his birthday. We're doing a party for him at the VFW tonight. But he is someone, I would use an example that is local, that truly puts all in on like what he's trying to do on stage. He has like, he designs all of the acts up there with them, and he like, the stage design is insane, where it's teddy bears or balloons.
Amazing.
He really puts, and he does choreography. He's probably he's like the most visionary artist that I could name locally that really
He does everything
do that.
full bore, nothing half.
Yeah, it could be at Mortimer's and he's still doing it full throttle like that.
That's key, what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like tell the story the best way you can with what you have, because the best way that you come and respect your craft, the more respected that you'll be when people do see you live. And it's like, think about what you're inspired by, you know, when you sit and watch it. I've been inspired by people just sitting there with a guitar and a spotlight. And but it's the way they're doing it, because they did their best with that performance. And so it's I mean, I feel like there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just doing your best with what you have at the time. You know?
And I think is part of this roadmap maybe like, how do you even get shows? Is that part of your question?
That's
or
a
is
good
it?
question.
Yeah, sure. That's part of it. I just think what you were talking about, reaching out to artists that inspire you.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I am going to be a musician.
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, that's about playing music.
Yes,
Right.
totally. I mean,
I know how to say. Sorry.
yeah, no, go get in there.
I know a good response to that right now. Okay, so for example, we're going on our tour. Starting in September, and it's all arenas. And so they told me I would be the opener. So now I'm going to be opening up arenas every night. And so
this is the Lizzo tour.
Yeah,
Sophia Eris,
next
DJ
level.
Sophia Eris, Lotto, Lizzo, every night of the U.S. tour.
Yeah. And so like back in the last tour we went on, I was opener as well. And so I would just like do a 30-minute set. And I also have music of my own, so I would blend both. So I started off DJing, and then I would pick a high-end hype one that he produced, and I would like blend it into the whole set. Like I would perform it, and then come back and spin
you're
it.
DJing and performing.
Yeah, I combine both. But this time, because we're in arenas, I want to pull in local acts that I know like have a buzz.
Love that.
For example, like I think we're hitting North Carolina.
Yeah.
I want this girl Big Molly. She's an insane rapper.
Yes,
I want to
she's
hit her
great.
up and be like, do you want to do one song on stage in this arena? Like so, like
Perfect.
not only curate the songs I choose, but also curate the artists I choose, and let them just do one song with me on stage. Because who wants to not perform in an arena?
Yeah.
Hello. And I want to perform or curate artists as well outside of whatever I want to spin. So that's something that I'm visually going through right now, because I have to see it, so I'm able to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You're going to do that for every city, Lauren?
I want to, especially like here in the Excel Center. I want to
Totally.
have all,
Oh my God. Put on the
Love that you're
homies.
I want to curate artists.
Yeah, I love
Talk
it.
about lifting other artists
Yeah.
up
Yeah,
right there.
Because then later on, they're going to remember that all the
Yes.
time. So,
They'll never forget it.
yeah,
And also, as just a fan in the audience that might not have any idea who Sophia is until they see her with Lizzo, that's that's something you're going to remember. Like, oh,
Right.
I thought that was just a DJ who was going to play like bangers to get us warmed up, and then she actually brought someone from my hometown on stage. Like, you don't see that often. So that's like another one of
very
those
true.
hooks, right? I do think, when you're starting out playing live, it's like more is more. You kind of say, I would recommend saying yes to pretty much everything, not expecting to get any money or get a little bit of money. Open up for people. You're kind of just like, you're just finding your way. And that's practice in itself. You want to practice not on the stage as well, but like be practiced, but also you're gonna learn like, what is my stage banter like? Like, what happens when I break a string and I now have to like kill some time but also tune my guitar? That is kind of some trial by fire stuff that you just have to go through. You don't really prepare for that.
Sure, yeah.
Back in the day it was like, oh, we're playing outdoors and the deck's just melted because it's 110 degrees. Like the vinyl is melting, and now we don't have any
computer has
heat.
died before outside.
Yeah.
It happened to
in the
me.
heat
Yep.
So it's like, okay, now we gotta, those types
Improvise.
of things those are gonna be so helpful to you for your whole life. So just like putting yourself in those positions, and then everyone kind of hits a point once you do kind of saturate the market and you play everything, then generally what happens is, okay, now you're not the opener 1 of 4, now you're like 2 of 4, maybe now you're 3 of 4, and once you hit that level, you play less. and you play
Yes.
important shows, and
Gigs.
that's where you really
Saying
get.
no.
Overdo it.
Yeah, that's where you flip it a little, and you start saying no. No, you know what? I did play 4 fundraisers 2 months ago, but we're gonna kind of put that on hold for a little bit, and we're gonna do one major headlining show. When
Yeah.
Doomtree did our very first headliner, we had probably been playing for about 2 years. It was, keep in mind, it's like 5 solo rappers, and the whole reason we were a crew in the first place was because there was 5 rappers, each of them had 1 to 2 songs total. So there was no set, right? But we were like, well, if each 5 of you guys did 2 songs each, then we have a 30-minute set. And so that was why Doomtree started. It was just strengths in numbers. And all of a sudden when you have a crew of 10 people, and those 10 people each know 3 friends that they can kind of twist their arm to come to the show, promoters see that your first gig you brought 50 people out, even though they're your blood or whatever. It doesn't matter. They probably bought some beers.
Liquor sales and numbers at the door.
Yeah, so that's kind of how you also can help show, because it is important to show clubs that not only are you excited to have the opportunity to play, but you also are doing
bring it to the
them
table.
a favor. The people you brought out are going to pay money at the door, and they're going to buy a drink and all that. So I don't know, you kind of tap into your network to make that happen. And then yes, as you grow, lesser shows, more headlining shows or more important slots or opening for the right national act. But in the very beginning, just play it all. Just do it.
Yeah.
And I think also getting on a tour with another act that's got a good draw, that what you're about to do with Lizzo is going to change your world, even though it's already been changed,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
It's great.
It's a different level.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you, it's always you're always trying to at least for me, I'm always trying to help somebody out, or what can I do for you? Knowing that if I do that, eventually that's going to come back to me in
That is why
spades.
you're doing so well. That's a very rare thing. You need to see more of that.
Yeah, so you're really how can I help you?
Take.
Even when I hit up.
Giver.
Yeah, be a giver. Yeah, exactly. In all
One of the
aspects
most
of
powerful
life.
things I ever saw on a church kiosk, are you a giver or are you a taker? This
Wow.
was 2 decades
You're
ago, and I still remember that.
Yeah, totally.
I'm gonna be a giver.
Back in the day, it was like when DJs had crates of vinyl. Again, the old man vinyl story. But you would just go and you would ask the DJ of the rap act, can I help carry your crates in the door?
Oh, that's huge.
And that was how then maybe you smoked a blunt with the DJ after the show, and then you somehow chopped it up or got to rap with the rapper afterwards. You just you're helpful. You're there. You're not just give me an autograph or get me on the list. And then if you can just be. Cool is a weird word, but I always just say just be cool. If you can just be
cool.
normal and chill, an artist.
And maybe carry a Sharpie in your bag.
Yeah, right. But bigger artists are always
story.
the last thing they want is necessarily someone to just be oh my god, they don't want a super fan geeking out. They want someone who can understand where they're coming from, respects them. Obviously, you might still be a huge fan.
Yeah.
But is also do you need to know a good spot to eat? If you see them after sound check or whatever, just
Hey,
kind of
cool
being,
boots. Where'd you get those? Do you want to know where you can get more boots like that?
Being
Check out
helpful.
this
Being
place.
helpful. You know what I'm saying? Being helpful is so awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love people that want to help.
Yes.
Because you never know what's going on in their brain. And there's a lot. I have a lot of tabs open all the time up here.
Yeah.
And some spring acts are vegan.
So-
That's a great
so
way
one
to
of
do
the
that.
vegan
So one thing you could do
restaurant,
that could be helpful. That's the best
Yeah.
icebreaker. Honestly, oh, do you need
Totally.
some help? That's perfect.
Totally.
Yep.
Yeah, it goes a long ways
Anything.
for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
I want to check in with the crowd again.
Oh yeah.
I love all the stories.
Awesome.
This has to go back to something Sophia said earlier, where even if you don't feel like you belong in the room, you have to act like you do. So this is kind of
Yeah.
to you, but to everyone.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like an imposter, and what clicked for you to make you feel like I belong? What was that?
That's a good question.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I got to repeat this. Have you ever felt like an imposter, and what clicked to make you feel like you belonged?
Not
So
necessarily who or what event, but you and yourself. What made it,
Yeah.
I'm still feeling it today. Actually, I'll tell just 2 little examples. Today, I felt that recently. In the last week, I went to Brooklyn to sing. Have you guys heard of there's a man named Sid Sriram. He's from India. He actually won. I just found this out. He won the American Idol in India or something. But he's this insane vocalist. And I always thought I wasn't a singer growing up, and that's why like I got into rapping first. It took a long time to be comfortable with my voice and to understand what it could do. And now I actually do feel comfortable in it. And last week in Brooklyn, I got to sing backup for him because we helped write his first English record, and it's absolutely beautiful. But I remember sitting in rehearsal like, how am I here? Like, this man is the most insane vocalist I've ever met.
Like the voice of
amazing. I just got chills. Like, I have chills in my face.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening right now? But he loves my voice because it goes with his tone. It's his own voice, and this is my own voice.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone
He likes you for who you are.
Yeah, and everyone can sing. You know, it's just how you are. Everyone's blessed with some kind of voice, and if you just understand the confidence in how you use it, you got it. But the moment, another quick story, one time we were playing a festival called Made in America. It's Jay-Z's festival. And I'm up there DJing for Lizzo, and I look to my left, my peripheral, and it's Beyonce and Jay-Z literally right there.
Oh my God, I've been dying.
And I'm and I'm the only person that can see because she's up in front of me, and I'm like seeing them the whole time.
And this for Lizzo is like, she still hasn't met Beyonce at this point.
No.
Oh my God.
And then this is like the second time we played this festival, but the first time they didn't care about us.
Yeah.
And so the whole time I'm seeing them like on the side, and I see, and I'm like, I do a lot of choreography as a DJ too, and I'm seeing Beyonce do what I'm doing. Like I'm hitting these moves, and she's like learning on the side. And someone got like the footage, and it's like me, Beyonce, and Jay-Z, and like that's all you see at that moment.
So good.
And I was like,
So good.
oh my God, and I'm just like thinking, that was like a moment I'm like, how did I get here? You know what I'm saying? And like, and the whole time I want to tell Liz up, I don't want to freak her out, and I'm just like, and she comes back and she's like, she's at my booth, she's just like this, and I'm like, I can't talk to you after this. They watched the whole set. They watched our whole set.
That's so awesome.
And that was just a moment of like, how do we get, like those moments are like, how do we get here? And I've never thought that Beyonce and Jay-Z would watch anything I would be a part of ever. And so that was huge too. Like, that's like when you have to like, I'm shaking, but I'm gonna hit every one of these moves and make sure all these transitions are good because the queen is watching me.
Beyonce, that's the answer.
Yes, there you go.
Well,
As a, like a publicist and as a manager.
Yeah.
You felt like I'm on this phone call with somebody.
Oh my God. So I will tell you as like, I have it I think I have it every single day, and I'm getting better at recognizing it and being able to say like, oh, that's just that head voice talking, like, psh, I'm just gonna do this and stop thinking, get in my head. But it was really difficult. I mean, I also have it performing. I have it as an artist. I think it's something that we're just starting to talk about a lot more, you know, but I don't think there's ever a day where I don't experience some sort of imposter syndrome. And regardless of whether that's as like a dad taking the kids out to the playground, or like as a artist performing on stage thinking like, well, I'm not really doing that much hitting these buttons, you know, or like, especially music industry stuff, as someone who didn't like go to college or have all this training. Calling myself a manager, calling myself like the general manager of a record label, you know, that is essentially just like totally made up. We're like, yeah, we're a record label, you know, like, and then talking to like real deal booking agents or people that I perceive to be these like, you know, high in the sky
people in the industry. Yep.
I'm like, what am I doing? And I get really scared, and I get like, oh, I don't
Moments of
belong on this
insecurity.
shelf. And then you just kind of, for me, it's always just like, I just have to do it. So like,
And
even
when you can answer a question they ask you, and you're like, I know the answer to this.
So it took me about probably 20, I mean, I've been making music since I was 12. It probably took me 20, 25 years of just being in the game to finally realize like, oh yeah, actually just through being in the game this long, regardless of what I've accomplished or not, I do know kind of what I'm talking about, because it's just experience at that point.
Yeah.
And so that really helped me once I was able to realize like, yeah, actually, who better than me to weigh in on this after 25, whatever. So anyways, that's like, yes, all the time. And I don't know if that'll ever go away, and I kind of like it. It's almost like the butterflies in your stomach before a show, like helps you just kind of like,
Yeah.
How about you, Krista?
Oh yeah, I experience that all the time, every day. whether it's someone from a TV show calling me or management, a booking agency, and having conversations with them, and they're asking my advice on something, or a music director at a radio station, and I'm like, well, if I was in that situation, this is what I would do. That to me is moments of, wow, that person just asked me a question and I answered it for them. Because I'm always worried, do I know enough about this industry? Even though I've been in it 28 years, I literally learn something new every single day. And I'm always trying to keep up. I think one of the things I've learned too, like the ebb and flow of everything, like when he was talking about Doomtree and like SoundScan, that was a big thing for a long time. We were one of the grandfathered places that we did SoundScan.
That's right.
And then when that went away, then it was like radio for a long time, but now it's like Spotify, and that's what everybody cares about, the numbers. They want to see how many streams you have and things like that. So chameleoning yourself to the needs of others and finding out in the indie industry, independent, figuring out how to be a scrapper, just like an artist scrapping from the ground level, just like when she lost her passport, or you just had to figure that out quick because you have a huge opportunity.
Had to do it.
That's going to go bye-bye, and some other artists will jump on it in a heartbeat. So you have to move quick, and being helpful, I think, is so key to what you said. Just caring about others and not asking. I wish we would see more of that. Everybody wants it, and just remember, the media knows what you want too. I've found that I get like a lot more buzz with Honey when you're kind to the critics and DJs. The older they get, some of them are a little more crabby.
Understandable.
If you're funny, or you can make them laugh, or they like Aussies.
Yeah, exactly.
Send them an Aussie photo first before you ask something of them.
Oh my God, yes. The little, like you're always trying to find a connection. At least I am. I think in my life, I think in my whole life, and that's just out of necessity for my like soul. I feel the best when I'm connecting with another human element. Like when I can have a connection, whether that's like, hey, we both don't like mayonnaise, or hey, so yes, exactly right. When you're kind of cold emailing people or cold calling people, or I'm always looking for that thing that, and it's not like in the slimy sales way of like, oh, I know he's got kids, so I'm gonna ask him how the family is. It's like, it's more just like, yes, if we can feel that we're on the same team, everything is easier. There's less conflict, there's less just like killing
stress
the time.
Or feeling you're not worthy.
And you can just be yourself, and then, and I really love, I know everyone's like, oh, Minnesotans talk about the weather. Like, I love talking about the weather with people. I'll talk about anything with anybody. Like if it's on, I love walking my dog and doing the whole like, yep, how you doing? Nope, howdy there. Like, I love it. Because regardless of whatever we said, like we looked each other in the eye and we like did the head nod and we kept it moving.
Humanization with it.
Yes, we need that.
Right.
So,
So talk
and
about the weather.
Humor will get you everywhere.
Yes.
Put that on the list.
Talk about the weather. Don't be
never
afraid.
forget you.
Exactly right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just was going to check in out here. Yes.
You talked about earlier how social media is a full-time job in and of itself. And of course, booking, scheduling rehearsals, updating your bio, the laundry list of things as a musician you always got to do. I was wondering if y'all could talk about maybe just the day-to-day logistics. What solutions have you found to just stay organized, stay on top of those things, stay on top of those tabs, open?
I'd never heard anyone say that before. I got a lot of tabs open in my head. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that all the time.
I'm going to paraphrase this question, just asking about the day-to-day, keeping yourself organized, keeping yourself moving. Speak to that.
A whiteboard, having a whiteboard. I have a whiteboard right next to my bed.
Nice.
And I can wake up. I really vivid dreams all the time, but outside of dreaming, I can wake up and see, this is what I have, these are all the goals I have. This is like everything I have going on right now, at this moment. I can just be reminded of it every day, or add on to it, or erase, hopefully, what I need to, that I got done. That was a game changer for me personally.
Time management. It's hard though. I'm married, I have twins. they're teenagers. I've got animals. I've got a husband. I've got a business and a couple
life.
different things
Yeah,
going
that's a
on.
whole other.
A whole ass life.
It's like, exactly. So that comes that's very important to me. So I have lists, a lot of lists, and it's a lot of time management. I'm like, okay, I have this much time to do Tinderbox stuff. I have this much time to do Chase by Flying Monkeys stuff. I have this much time. So every day I mark a certain time and I allow for it. And then, you're gonna get interruptions. Your kid's gonna say, I'm hungry, or I need a ride to my friend's house, or I haven't studied for this and this is due tomorrow morning. And you're like, what? So there's that, So it's just time management. And I know it's hard, especially for you guys being a musician, because, you gotta write it, you gotta record it, you gotta do the artwork. I think two of the hardest jobs in the world is management and booking. And I don't know that I have the tenacity to do it.
Booking is like my worst nightmare.
Yeah, and it's the most thankless, I would say.
Yeah, totally.
But it's so important.
Yeah.
So important. So time management is everything. And I guess just putting it all in a line and writing it out and lifting it up every day, like, oh, I did this, or I need to add that, because you're right, having that right next to your bed. I have stuff all the time that I forget. I put it in my notes on my phone, or I have a notebook with me.
Use the
constantly
phone.
writing it.
Or something else besides
I was
what
gonna
we use
say,
it
I
for.
turned my phone off so it didn't ring, but I was gonna show you my phone. But like, for me, I was kind of forced into, not forced, I had to become type A in order to be what I am, to be my job.
Yep, you would.
So I you kind of just like,
And
I had to
booking.
like give in and just say like, all right, I am gonna schedule things to the 15-minute mark.
Yeah.
Like I am gonna be that guy that's like, no, it's gotta be in here. So what I have, and it's pretty like old school, but it's like, I just have that notes app on my laptop, and I just type out the like Wednesday the 5th or whatever, and it just goes and goes and goes.
Yep.
And I have all the shit I know I need to do that day. That's where I put like whatever my schedule is, the calls I have, and I try to get all of it cleared. It never has happened once. I've never cleared the day. But then anything that I don't get cleared that day,
move it to the next day.
it goes down.
Yep.
And oh, this day looks really busy now. I got a bunch of meetings, so that that research project I was going to do, that's going to go to next Saturday. And it's just constantly, it's there always. It's connected to my phone, so when I'm out
Have
at
a
a club,
Yeah.
okay, I got to put that in or whatever. And then Google Docs truly like changed my life. So any artist that I either work with as a manager, that I work with as a label boss, or as a producer, each one of those people has their own Google Doc. And
I saw yours because of Fires Denmark.
Oh yeah, and this is what
We work together.
I do, and when I consult too, is I create a Google Doc. It's like
I make them do it too.
It's the Bible essentially, or whatever. It's like
Dropbox you have to pay for, but Google Docs is
so
free.
good, and so that is like for every artist. So like for Sophia's, for example, like there's always the calendar there that I can see, but then there's also like by month, there's like what do we want to accomplish, or what still kind of
What's
needs
next
to
goal?
get figured out, or it also has like all the links that you need, so you don't have to scour your email for it anytime anyone asks for it. So it's like, hey, I need a press shot. Okay, go into the Google Doc, copy that link, boom, there you go. Hey, I need I need wave files, I need instrumentals. It's just all in there. It's like the hub for Sophia, and I have probably 30 of those for all the different people that I work with.
too.
And that is the only way that I've found to keep it together.
Right there with you.
And then also email. Okay, so inbox fatigue.
Oh God, yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like you may have 4 different email addresses depending on the different jobs you work,
I
or
do
the
too.
artist, the booking, the whatever, and then just most artists still have to work real regular jobs too, right? So it's like you got your Microsoft Teams thing, and there's potentially like 20 different inboxes you're checking every day, whether that's like your IG messages and your Facebook messages and your blah, blah, blah. I do a thing every morning. So like things are always coming in, and I've never been able to be like, all right, this hour I do this hour I do that, because there's just too many different things for me. But throughout the day, I'll see everything come in. If it's urgent, I'll do it right away. If I know it's not urgent and I don't have time to do it, then I don't respond to it, because I know every morning when I wake up, I have an hour block to catch up and go back 24 hours on every inbox and make sure I hit anything that I missed.
Yep.
So it's like a net every
Let me ask
morning.
you really quick to interrupt you.
Yeah, please.
What program do you use?
Gmail.
You do.
Yeah.
Isn't that harder to?
It is not
navigate,
fun.
but
Yeah,
I
it
was
is.
just curious about that. I'm actually researching that right now,
Yeah.
a server that will hold various
All the
emails
stuff.
in one area that's easier to check. Okay. was
So I
curious.
just kind of go through, like I have a side job working for a marketing company that uses Microsoft Outlook. So then I have to do the same thing in Outlook. But even though, so it's like annoying, but knowing that I'm always gonna catch it the next day makes me sleep better at night, because I just don't have to be thinking like, oh shit, did I remember to hit that person back? And once you get in that schedule, I'm not saying this is gonna work for everybody, but for me, it's given me more peace of mind, so that when I am trying to have that dedicated family time at night with my kids, I'm not scrolling through my head like, oh wait, did I do that? I just know I'm gonna get it the next day. And I will tell you, I actually dread going on vacation because
Your inbox when you get back.
because I'm like, oh, and I'm such a creature of habit. So it's like if I break, so I've now had to tell my wife, like, every morning from 9 to 10, like, I'm just not gonna be available, because I will be so much funner to the entire family the rest of the day than if I'm just like freaking the fuck out in my head that I'm missing emails.
I totally understand. I locked myself in the bathroom in Colorado with my laptop. My husband's like, are you answering emails? I'm like,
What? No,
The
I'm
boys
putting
are
on
like, yes,
a mask.
she is.
So,
I totally relate.
That's like such a, what you just said was awesome, because there's times where you being a funner person is so tight, like making sure you do what you need to do for yourself, and that's when you take.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's when it's good to take. You have to take things so you could be the best person that you can be for someone else, to give them something.
yes.
It's really important to manage that too, like
True.
to be their stronger self. Like time to yourself, figuring out and how to be the best version of yourself around people is like really important.
And also,
Taking a break.
from the artist side, I would say don't be afraid to, if you do go that type A route, don't be afraid to block out then the time to just chill and be creative, because you can't be creative on a dime. I can't say like be creative. You know, you need that time. I can't say
Ruminate on it and
I
think
can't say
about
be
what I'm gonna do.
inspired.
Yeah.
You know, you need
Yeah.
that time to chill in order, and that will slowly guide you to the inspiration or to the creativity. And so if that means you have to block out 3 hours every night to just like watch some movies, like for me, I don't get inspired to make music
Decompress,
by listening to music, but I do weirdly get inspired to make music when I watch movies. It just somehow like takes me into another headspace.
You get an idea, I bet, from the movies too.
I binge watch something.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
I
like,
pick one thing with a bunch of seasons and just
yes. So, you know, really, that is just as important, I think, as answering the emails and staying on top of the shit, is creating an environment where you can fully be your artistic self. So like, don't forget about that, because it's so easy, especially if it's you doing you, like it's so easy to just put that at the bottom of the pile every day and then move it to the next day and keep moving it. You really want to create some time to get there, because otherwise, what is the fucking point? Like this is, you know, like all of this is supporting the art. Without any of it, we might as well just be working, you know, like as accountants or whatever, which is tight. My wife's an accountant, but like,
Oh, that's handy.
they're important too.
you know, like it is, it's easy to forget like what the whole point is in the first place. So make some time.
Yeah.
And less is more. Try to, when you email, like for me, I get a lot of emails, various emails, and it's nice when an artist reaches out to me and everything's in one email instead of 10 emails, because I get so many.
Yes.
So I'm always saying, you know, make a Google Drive or Dropbox, put it all in there, because they're like, oh, I forgot to add this, or I didn't do this.
Yeah.
But when you got like 30 other bands doing that, you know, or I'm also thinking of like talking to the media, they have even more. So get to the point, less is more, be organized, mindful, and funny if you can be.
Yes. Yes.
Humor gets you everywhere.
Yeah, totally.
Other questions?
Oh, way in the back.
Luke, yeah.
Kind of touched on it before, the idea that every job is going to have stuff you don't want to do, and there is going to be nitty-gritty work. And you also mentioned that there is a point where the creative side isn't fun anymore, and you were talking about that's when you notice you want to stop doing some of that. So I was interested to see like what influences that decision and where that line is drawn. Is it just personal experience, trial by fire?
That's good, like the nuance of them both.
So when things stop being inspiring and
Yeah, like how to draw that line between working through it because that's really actually stuff that you don't want to, but when you like, how do you find that line of I just gotta keep working
Yes.
Like, flood it in and I'm going to just pursue something else. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
I can't wait to see you paraphrase
Ooh, all right. Okay, the line between working through something to get it done and feeling like you're burnt out on the other side of the line.
Yeah, like, so he's like, so when things like, oh my God, I'm not having fun anymore at all and I need to stop, versus being challenged and working hard and like, all right, I'm getting through this, and what is the nuance of when you stop and when you keep going? I feel that's a very good question. And I guess to me, like, say I'm working with, at this point, I'm a full-time artist. And so it's my job to stay inspired. That's kind of how I see it. And I don't have to work with anybody anymore that I don't want to work with. And so, for example, there's an artist that wanted me to do this song recently, right? And I've known him for a long time. I've seen him grow. He has good intentions, you know what I'm saying? But I'm seeing him work past things that I felt were obstacles in our possibility to create, right? So I gave him a chance. I gave him another chance. And I'm like, yeah, come to my studio, let's see what you got. And he had already pre-written this verse for me already. And I was still open, I heard it, it wasn't bad, and I recorded it, and he kept trying to pinpoint something that I should be doing, or like making me do this again, and I said, hold up.
Controlling.
I said, okay. I was like, this isn't fun anymore, I'm done. And I was like, I gave you what I gave you. I gave you 3 takes. You asked me to do this. I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
And that's like the difference. If I'm already going out of my way to do something for you that I don't have to do, honestly, and I give it to you, you still want to go in, I'm gonna be like, this isn't fun for me anymore. And I think there might be another artist, and I gave him 3 other artists that would be amazing at what he wanted. I didn't just leave him hanging.
Yeah.
But which is a good thing to know too. If you ever want to stop something that you know isn't for you, and as you get older and as you get more seasoned, you listen to your gut more. You have to trust your gut, because that's called intuition, and that is something that we're all born with, and there's a lot of like filters that we have to unravel to get to the point of trusting our gut. And my gut was flaring as soon as you walked in the door. So yeah. But that curiosity still goes in your brain too. Like, what is that? Oh, don't touch it, it's hot. And you still kind of touch it. Like, you want to know why is your gut? Sometimes I want to understand why it's doing that, so I can. It helps me prevent it from the next time. But with this being said, like, that was my personal nuance. Is like, that's when I'm like, no, I don't even have to do this. Actually, this is gonna save me a lot of time, and I'll give you all these other people to work with that can totally do the same thing that you need.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
I've run into that with musicians and bands and artists that I had a spidey sense about.
Yeah.
Just something felt off, or I just knew it would end up being a lot of work and very little appreciation. So I've just passed on them, and like you, I've given them other people and said, hey, I can't do this for you, I'm too busy right now, but I've got another publicist that you should work with, or whatever they're looking for, and I'm happy to pass them that information, but sometimes it's not worth the hassle.
Yeah.
It's more headache, and you're, busy doing stuff, and it's the fun is just like sucked right out of you. Yeah, I totally,
100%.
That was a good question.
I've got I have a Post-it note that's at the little Doomtree office. It's by like my desk at my bed, and it just says, don't force it.
Oh, that's good.
Because I spent like my whole life thinking you had to. Like, we're all these scrappy indie people, and you just have to force it till you get your way. But you can't. Like, and as I've gotten older and learned so many things that are truly out of your personal control in the grand scheme of things, it's helped me to realize, like, and especially as a manager, a lot of times, you feel like it's your job to create this thing. If your artist wants something, you have to go get it.
Everything's your fault.
And if you don't get it, then it's kind of like that's part of your identity. Like, oh, then it's a failure if you couldn't get that for them. But sometimes it's not possible, or the way that you are trying to get it is not possible. So, I think, yes, there's the challenges, and you try to work your way through those. And if you're making progress and it's feeling like, okay, I'm climbing up the mountain, then you stick with that. But you will start to, like, the universe will start to let you know at some point, like, dead end. Okay, maybe we're not going to get signed to Warner Brothers, or whatever.
But then something better.
But then let's find out, or like, okay, this doesn't seem, after doing research, after trying, this particular thing doesn't seem realistic. But what I've learned through this is we could try this thing. So you're kind of always like, it's almost like there's bumper guards everywhere, and you're kind of bouncing off. and you're moving around. So, there's never like a full dead end on anything, but the vision is not always going to be the reality. And I think through trial and error, you get better at adapting and changing the vision if it's just not working the way you thought it would.
Exactly.
And
Like,
Yes.
I knew Jeremy Messersmith always wanted to play one of the Jimmy's shows. He didn't play those, but he played David Letterman's show before it went out, So that's a good that came out of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of the Jimmy's, but that's still
Totally.
his goal, in my eyes.
Totally.
So you can't force things. It's
And the
really
same with
good
like
words.
I'm building calendars and schedules and year plans for people, and it's like half the time I'm the one who set the calendar or the dates, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, the master's not getting done fast enough. We're not going to be able to release it on June 11th, and all of a sudden I'm like, the only reason it's June 11th is I picked an arbitrary date. So now it's not June 11th, it's July 11th. That's okay.
That is so good, and I always say give yourself a lead time. I think too many times we don't. We are like, oh, this is done. This has got to come out in 2 weeks. Well, something always comes up. So I say give yourself a little bit of extra wiggle room so that you can fix things if you need to last second.
Totally.
I always tell my bands that. Don't be eager to just drop it. Give yourself a little breathing room because you spent all that blood, sweat, and tears making it.
I just want to check in and see if there's any further comments or questions. We're close to the end here. Joe.
I don't have a question, but I guess just listening to all this, it's aligned so much with what I'm doing. It's just very reassuring.
Oh, good. Yeah. I mean,
it all makes sense, it's different. It's not the same, but I do appreciate all of it.
I think it's nice to hear that too, because it's like I think.
Are we making sense?
The more
It's discouraging occasionally.
Yeah.
But at least. It makes sense.
Half the time, I think as a manager or in this kind of consulting thing I've been doing, it's like, at first I was like, well, the service I'm offering is this expertise and this experience, and now I'm like, at least 50% of the service I'm offering is just like a listening ear and someone who is like, no, you're not crazy. That actually does suck.
Yeah.
And I don't like doing it either. We need it's almost like a cheerleader therapist that's
I say that all the time.
And we need each
Talk
other
them off the ledge.
to do that. I have people in my life that help me with that. I help other people with that. We really
That's so
need each other to just relate these things to, because being an artist is really hard. Being anyone within the music industry or the arts in any role is really hard and challenging. And even though there's these huge highs that make and we're all showing our best huge highs on social media, and then we're getting jealous of everybody else, even though they're also going crazy in their head. The more we can have these honest conversations, I really think it just peels away some of the pressure to always be killing it, because nobody is always killing it. Lizzo is not always killing it. Beyonce is not always killing it.
They have good and bad days.
Brad Pitt, I'm trying to think of a big. Brad Pitt is not always killing it. Johnny Depp is not always killing it, turns out.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for your time. Krista, Sophia,
Thank you so much.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for being here. We have our next event is about to set up on this stage, so thanks for your time.
And big shout out to the MMC in general for facilitating this.
Thanks for doing it. Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome.